The mid-year freakout tag is the tag that I do in which I make a number of promises that we all know I'm probably not going to keep. Hey everyone, welcome back to ONYX Pages. I hope that you are doing well and that you are safe and sound and as rested and as peaceful as you can be under the circumstances that we're all dealing with. So I'm just going to get right into the questions. The mid-year freakout tag was created by Shami and Ellie, and I'm going to have their links to their original videos down below. And we will start. The first question is, what's the best book that you read in 2020? The best book that I've read is The Parable of the Sower graphic adaptation by John Jennings and Damien Duffy. I don't think that I've done a review on this as yet, but through Quarantine Pages, I had the absolute pleasure of interviewing J2D2 to talk about the graphic novel, and it was such a wonderful experience. They are humble and fun, and they took us through their experiences of putting this together, of continuing the legacy of Octavia E. Butler's work, and I just found this to be pleasurable and fun. It was I found the read to be pleasurable and fun because I was reading it while, talking about it during Quarantine Pages, and I was buddy reading it with a dear friend of mine, so that was all great. The story itself is not pleasurable and fun. In The Parable of the Sower, as I'm sure you know, we follow Lauren Olamina, who at the beginning of the story is a 15-year-old girl living in a small gated community in Robledo. And the world around her is falling apart. There's a gang of people who take this drug that makes them want to set fires to everything. There is a very authoritarian government, corrupt police. I mean, nothing like today. Just a lot of really difficult conditions. And she has to leave her town after it's attacked. And while she's on the road, she develops this, or she further develops a religion that she started when she was younger called Earthseed. She develops these principles and she meets people along the way, and we follow her on this journey as she thinks about and imagines what a new world could potentially look like, or at least she develops skills to reckon with the world that she has to deal with at the time. It is a beautiful story created by Octavia E. Butler and beautifully rendered in graphic work by J2D2. So this so far is my favorite book of 2020. Best sequel, I haven't read a sequel yet for the year. New release to read, I am looking forward to reading I'm looking forward to reading a number of different books, but these are 4 new releases that I have in my possession that I need to read that I'm looking forward to reading. So this is Say Her Name. This is a book of poetry by Zetta Elliott. I actually consider this to be a version of mundane Afrofuturism, meaning that what Zetta Elliott has done here, I believe, is she has engaged poets to create works of poetry in which that allow us to remember the Black women who have been killed as part of the Say Her Name campaign. And these poems pay tribute to the victims of police brutality as well as the activists who are championing the Black Lives Matter cause. I expect that these poems will reimagine what safe communities might look like for Black women, Black trans people, Black queer people. I'm hoping that that's what I'm going to see, and I'm looking forward to it. So that is Say Her Name, and it is Zetta Elliott. This just came in the mail for me a couple of days ago. This is Unexpected Stories by Octavia E. Butler, and this is the latest publication coming out of her estate. This volume contains 2 short stories written by Octavia E. Butler that were not previously released. So I'm probably going to be reading this I'm hoping that I'll be able to read this in 2020. Although if you have been watching my videos for the past week, you'll know that myself, Isis from Sista Sci-Fi, and Tatiana from Musical Tati, we are going to be hosting a slow read of all of Octavia E. Butler's works. This is the most recent, so we're not going to get to this until 2020. So between now and 2020, I will be reading this this collection of 2 short stories by Octavia E. Butler. I also received an advanced reader's copy of A Phoenix Must Burn, and this is an anthology of short works that are inspired by Octavia E. Butler. So this is part of that, you know, the legacy work. These are young adult short stories, 16 stories of Black girl magic, resistance, and hope, edited by Patrice Caldwell. So very much looking forward to these because I enjoy reading work that's inspired by Octavia E. Butler. And there's something about the fact that this is, I believe this is mostly, it feels very young adult. Yeah, so the ages 12 and up, grade 7 and up. So I think this is the first collection. This was released in March 2020. I think this is the first collection of Octavia E. Butler inspired short stories for a younger audience. The other collection that I'm thinking of is Octavia's Brood, which is social justice speculative fiction, and that was for a more of an older audience. So this is going to feel fresh and new, and I'm looking forward to it and reviewing it. Also interested in Echo Brown's Black Girl Unlimited because it involves a main character who discovers that it's a coming of age story, and I believe that she discovers that she's a wizard and she lives in Brooklyn. Oh no, lies, all lies. So Echo Brown is a wizard from the east side of Cleveland. So she's a young black woman, and she's a wizard, and she lives in Cleveland, and I love that. I also think that the cover is absolutely stunning, so I'm looking forward to this. And I think, yes, those are 4 books that I have in my possession that I am looking forward to reading that were all released in 2020. The next one is what is my most anticipated release? Well, y'all know that I love Black Mermaids. So A Song Below Water by Bethany Morrow, that has already been released. I don't yet have a copy of it in my possession, but I am definitely looking forward to that. The cover art is stunning, and Black Mermaids. There's nothing else to be said. My biggest disappointments were 2 of the 3 short works that I had to read for the Booktube SFF Awards. So The Test by Sylvain Newell and To Be Taught If Fortunate by Becky Chambers. So Martha Wells, Becky Chambers, Martha Wells, one of those 2. Anyway, I think it was Martha Wells, but I was not into either of those, and those were my biggest disappointments and waste of my time. Biggest surprise read of the year would be My Life as an Ice Cream Sandwich by E.B. Zaboy. What was surprising about this was how endearing I found the main character, who had a sort of like she was so free in her imagination and so confident about the things that she imagines. It made me feel like my little inner child who also was goofy and also had a world that people didn't quite understand. Like, it made me feel like she was okay, like better, you know? Like, there's something endearing about her. I also really enjoyed the way that E.B. Zaboy was able to bring magic in a lighthearted way into an urban environment. And E.B. Zaboy did this as well in America Street, which I also enjoyed, although I think I enjoyed My Life as an Ice Cream Sandwich more than I enjoyed America Street. But this was definitely a very surprising and touching read for me. Favorite new author, I do not have one. And fictional crush, I don't really do that. Favorite character, my favorite character so far is not human. It is the piano in Joplin's Ghost by Tananarive Due, which is what I'm currently reading. In this story, we are following Phoenix Smalls, who is an R&B singer right now in the book. Her star has risen as a result of a very successful, what do they call those? Signing with a label? Yeah, a very successful label that has taken her on. But she is not really performing the kind of music that she wants to perform. She wants to perform more folksy, experimental stuff. And so while she reckons with, performing the kind of music that'll make her money and make her popular versus performing the kind of music that really makes her heart sing, she also finds that she's being visited by the ghost of Scott Joplin, who was a musician in the middle of the 20th century, I want to say, and just like really well, I'm not done yet, but there's something happening between her and this ghost. But anyway, there's a piano, and I think it's Scott Joplin's piano, and this piano is showing up. It is becoming real in her life. She's seeing it in places. She's being haunted by this piano as well. And there's something about the way that the piano shows up that almost is its own character. And right now it is really intriguing to me, and I think it's my favorite character for 2020. Book that made you cry. There are two books that made me cry, like actual wet tears. And one is The Good Luck Girls. There was something about the camaraderie in this book. I did a full review of it. You'll recall that if you saw the review, but if you've read it, and if you haven't read it, I'm just going to tell you. So there's a group of 5 girls who were good luck girls, meaning that they were performing sexual services. They were basically indentured in what was called the Good Luck House, and they free themselves. And there were several moments in their journey to a freer environment where I just felt so touched by the way that people helped them and the ways that they help themselves, how big their hearts are. So the sisterhood here, the resilience, the hopefulness here really moved me, and I cried and I was touched by it. This is by Charlotte Nicole Davis, who I believe is non-binary, which I want to mention because I'm trying to read more authors across gender spectra. The other book that made me cry, which I do not... I thought I had that. Yes, I do. Another book that made me cry was Escaping Exodus by Nikki Drayden. And this book made me cry. There was this one moment where one character makes a very touching decision. There's an act of generosity that's so strong here that I literally burst out into tears. So here we are following the relationship of 2 sisters. One is destined for the throne. The other one is jealous. The one who's destined for the throne finds herself in a situation where she realizes that the world around her is actually set up in very unfair ways. In this book, in this world, the humanoids have discovered a way to live inside the bodies of these alien beasts that float in space. So they actually live inside their bodies, and they create cities inside their bodies until the animals basically die. And then when the animal starts to die, they find another animal, and then they live inside that body, and they literally have engineers who work the heart and work the lungs in order to to repurpose the internal organs of these animals so that these humanoid communities can live inside them. So that's super gross. It is, these humanoids are parasitic in the most literal sense. And so the main character finds out that, over time she realizes that she's not into this. And but she's also destined for the throne. So as she matures, she finds out more and more things about the world around her that she doesn't agree with. And she tries to change it. And in that moment of change, someone does something for her that made me cry. So Escaping Exodus, I would recommend it. All right, which book made you, name a book that made you happy. And a book that made me happy was Brown Girl in the Ring by Nalo Hopkinson. So Nalo Hopkinson is my favorite author. Brown Girl in the Ring was her debut novel, came out in 1998, and it follows Ti-Jeanne. Ti-Jeanne is the youngest in a line of, like a matrilineal line of magic women. This is a post-apocalyptic Toronto, and this made me happy because there were so many wonderful intersections between, like, intersections of things that are in my life. Like, it's set in Toronto. The main character has a Trinidadian background, or at least a Caribbean background. The magic that she practices is an indigenous African religion, and it was just, like, wonderful. It made me happy because I could really identify with many of the characters, and I love Nalo, so that's that. The most beautiful cover that you got this year, the most beautiful cover so far is Escaping Exodus. It is whimsical and beautiful, and it has such a beautiful collection of, like, color schemes that I like. So purples and teals and blues and sparkles and yellows and greens and basically all the colors. So very nice. I don't know, do you find that, let me know in the comments, do you find that at different times in your life you're really attracted to certain color combinations? I don't have a favorite color, but I like different combinations of colors. So I like rainbows, and I also like this color scheme, like purple and fuchsia and blue and turquoise. So really gorgeous cover. And finally, books that you need to read before the end of the year. So I have not come out with my most anticipated books for 2020 yet. It is coming. It's going to be epic. But there are two books that I own that I really need to finish. And unfortunately, I think that both of them were on my mid-year freakout last year, so judge me. I welcome it. The two books are The Water Dancer by Ta-Nehisi Coates and also Black Leopard Red Wolf by Marlon James. I think they're both great covers. I'm interested in The Water Dancer because this is the first of Ta-Nehisi Coates' fictional works. It also, I believe, is mundane Afrofuturist with an element of like very subtle sort of fantasy, I think. I'm not sure exactly how I would describe this, but this is a take on the, like, African mermaid. Well, not mermaid, because I don't think that the main character here is a mermaid, but I think that he has superpowers related to water. I think he survived a drowning because he had certain superpowers. Bless you. So, yeah, so I'm looking forward to reading this. I've heard mixed reviews, and mixed reviews intrigue me. So I'm looking forward to this. And then for Black Leopard Red Wolf, Marlon James, I really like his writing. I've heard that this is a difficult book to read and that it's long and hard to get through. And I've also heard mixed reviews. So here we go. I will note that both of these books are written by Black men, and I haven't read a book by a Black man in a while. So I'm thinking about what that means. So yes, that is it. Those are the books that I want to talk to you about for the mid-year freakout tag. Before I go, a couple of things. First is that I want to give shout outs to two Booktube friends. The first is Rachel Ray. Rachel Ray is a booktuber who has been on this platform for quite some time. She reads diversely. I really enjoy listening to her talk about her nonfiction selections, but if you go to her channel, if you're not already subscribed, she just reads a whole bunch of stuff. She also read Black Leopard, Red Wolf. I'm pretty sure she read that, and I think she read The Water Dancer. And I haven't watched her reviews yet because I want to wait until I'm finished, but I really enjoy the way that she reviews books. I find that she is so thoughtful and measured in her comments. I love how courageous she is around, you know, trying different genres. And I really enjoy just listening to her talk about books, especially when she doesn't like them. Her facial expressions when she doesn't like books, her facial expressions are really great. She's fair, but you can really tell when she doesn't like them. So if you haven't had an opportunity to visit Rachel Ray's channel and subscribe, I would definitely recommend that you check her out. The other person is Lucy from Lucy Reads. I really love Lucy. I believe that she's like a software programmer in real life. She's also been on this platform for quite some time. Even though some of the books that we read are similar, but some are not, and I love how free and how funny and sarcastic she can be about books, about the Booktube community. Her content is really amazing, and you can tell that she brings a very analytical approach to the things that she's reading. She was one of the creators of the Black Love-a-thon this year, and I really admire her. Both Rachel and Lucy are people that I met at BookNet Fest, and I really like them both. So if you haven't had an opportunity to check out Lucy's channel, I would ask you to do so. That is it. If you have watched this video all the way to the end, please leave a fruit emoticon, because fruits are good and you should have at least 5 a day. So leave them in the comments. Also, I will let you know that Quarantine Pages is still going on. So if you are interested in having a silent hour of reading every day, definitely check out Quarantine Pages. Also, if you're interested in participating in the slow read of Octavia E. Butler's works, there'll be a link to the registration in the area below. Also, I want to shout out my girl Noria, who is doing the Fuckathon in July, so check that out. And also, what else do I want to be announcing at this time? The Queer Blackathon, you should also check that out and read more queer Black authors. And I'm probably forgetting things, but there's an abundance of riches happening right now. So definitely do your research and do all of the things. I'm going to leave you now. Remember to read with purpose, and I will see you in my next video. Talk soon.